Hi everyone, this is Maverick Phua, the Chemistry Guru. Now in this video, we want to discuss the suggested solution for 2020 A-Levels H2 Chemistry Paper 1, question 16. Now question 16 goes something like this. The reaction pathway for cyanohydrin formation from propanone is shown. So step number 1, we have our ketone with Cl- to form this intermediate. Then step number 2, the intermediate will react with HCN to give me my cyanohydrin product, and we regenerate this Cn-. Actually, this mechanism is insidibus, correct? This is the nucleophilic addition of carbonyl compounds to give me cyanohydrin. So by right, when we look at this mechanism, step 1 and step 2, we should have some impression involving this guy. Now, the progression of the reaction against the energy, it is also given. The reaction pathway, it is given. Obviously, this is a two-step reaction. Then we do expect two humps. Each hump will represent one step. X should be the intermediate, and then X subsequently give me the product. So the question is asking which conclusion can be drawn from the reaction pathway diagram. So option A, point X, it is a transition state. Option B, activation energy for step 1 is greater than that for step 2. Option C, formation of my carbon-carbon bond is endothermic. Then for option D, the reaction is not reversible. Now, the topic tested in this question is actually not really on organic chem, so we don't really need to look at the mechanism in detail. So let us just look at the reaction pathway diagram, and we try to draw some conclusion involving each of these points. Now, option A, point X is a transition state. So is that true or is that not true? Now we have to know the difference between transition state and intermediate. So my intermediate will be the product in an earlier step, but later it becomes the reactant in a later step. So if I consider X, X should be an intermediate. When I consider a transition state should be the top of the mountain. So if I consider this hump from the reactant to X, X is actually the product at the end of the first step. So this guy is considered intermediate. Transition state is at the top of the mountain or the maximum point. So we should know that A, it is not true. X, it is an intermediate. It is not the transition state. For each step of the mechanism, we should have a transition state. So you notice for step number 1, the transition state will be the maximum point here. For step number 2, from X subsequently reacted to form my products, the transition state will be the maximum point here. So A is not the answer. Now how about option B? Activation energy for step 1 is greater than that for step 2. Activation energy, it is the energy required for the reactant to possess in order for it to proceed to form products. So in the energy profile diagram, it is just the height from the reactant to the top of the mountain or to the transition state. So if I consider the two steps, first step is involving reactant to the top of the mountain. So this activation energy will be here. It has a certain height. We write this as E1. Now how about the second activation energy? It will be the energy gap between X to the top of the mountain, so which is this gap here. Now we should be able to see very clearly that the second activation energy is actually smaller in terms of magnitude as compared to the first activation energy. So E1, clearly it is larger or greater than E2. So option B, it is a reasonable answer. Activation energy for step 1 is greater than that for step 2. So B, probably it is the answer. And if let's say we want to recap this idea, coming back to this mechanism, because we have some idea or we have some concept involving this mechanism. Now under nucleophilic addition of carbonyl compound, this step where the Cl- attacks your carbonyl carbon and subsequently the C double bond O opens up and you form this intermediate, that step is considered the slow step. So this one again, we are using concepts in organic chem. We should be familiar with nucleophilic addition of carbonyl compound. This step, supposedly it is the slow step. Then when you have an intermediate, it undergoes protonation to gain H plus from HCN to give me this product. This second step is actually the fast step. So we do know under organic chem that the first step, it is slow, the second step is fast. So the slow step is supposed to have a bigger activation energy, which is again consistent. The first step should have a bigger activation energy, and therefore it should be the slow step. Second step, smaller activation energy, and it would be the fast step. Now how about option C? Now option C, formation of the carbon-carbon bond is endothermic. Now by right, if I'm forming any bond, energy should be released. It should be an exothermic process. So it is not reasonable for me to say that the formation of a carbon-carbon bond is endothermic, bond formation is exothermic, bond breaking is endothermic. Actually, if I look at option C, again, this statement in itself, it doesn't really make sense. It is problematic. Why would the question suggest to us that this process is endothermic? Now, if I take a look at step 1, if I consider step number 1, now step 1, it seems like we are actually joining this Cn minus to my carbonyl carbon. Seems like we are forming this carbon-carbon bond. Then you notice this enthalpy change for this process. It looks like it is endothermic because the enthalpy level for your X, which is the intermediate, is higher than that for the reactant. So maybe they are trying to say that, okay, in the first step, since my intermediate has a higher enthalpy than the reactant, so the process is endothermic, and it looks like I'm forming a carbon-carbon bond. So therefore, the conclusion is, okay, the formation of my carbon-carbon bond is endothermic. Now, if I look at this step 1 mechanism in detail, now this process is not just a clear-cut formation of your carbon-carbon bond. Actually, there are two things coming in. The first thing that happens is I'm forming a carbon-carbon bond, and I'm also breaking a carbon-oxygen bond. All right, so hopefully we can see that I'm forming a carbon-carbon sigma bond. I'm breaking a carbon-oxygen pi bond. So it is not just a clear-cut bond formation. It is breaking a bond and forming a bond. Now, in general, we are not so interested in trying to scrutinize the detailed mechanism. Okay, what are all the specific bonds broken and bonds formed, and I try to calculate the enthalpy change for the particular process. Usually, we're not required to do that. All we need to know in this case is, all right, for this particular process, it is not so simple. It is not just a bond formation. Carbon-carbon bond is formed, but there's another bond that is broken. So the overall process is endothermic. It is not linked to the formation of my carbon-carbon bond. So we just want to clarify that. But the statement in itself, it is problematic. It is not true. So we can also dismiss this off. Option C, not likely to be the answer. Now, how about option D? Now, option D, the reaction is not reversible. Now, in this case, when I look at the energy profile diagram or the reaction pathway diagram, we're not able to determine that, because if it is a reversible reaction, when I look at the energy profile diagram, it would effectively look the same. In this case, since we cannot determine whether the reaction is reversible or not from this reaction pathway diagram, so we will treat this as an incorrect answer. So running through the options A, B, C, D, we have already talked about this. The answer to this question will be option B. We can show very clearly that the activation energy for step number 1 is greater than that for step number 2. Alright, so that was the discussion for question 16. So if you have learned something useful from this video, please give me the thumbs up, like this video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more weekly video lessons. That's all for now. I'll see you next week.